The evening unfolded just like so many before it. Or so I believed. We gathered around the dining table, the rich, comforting aroma of Clara's homemade lasagna filling the room, wrapping us in a warm, familiar embrace. She had spent hours perfecting the sauce, which now bubbled gently, promising a feast. Across from me, Sophie, our daughter, wrestled with her fork, her small fingers clumsy as usual, leaving bright streaks of tomato sauce smeared across the tablecloth. A small, endearing mess that made me smile. I leaned back in my chair, quietly grateful to have left work early for once. These rare, uninterrupted moments with my family felt like precious gems, a quiet refuge from the demands of the day. The conversation started easily, flowing like a gentle stream. Clara shared a funny story from her office, laughter threading through her words. Sophie's face lit up as she excitedly talked about her school project, a model of the galaxy she was determined to make the best in her class. I listened, my heart swelling with a soft, steady joy that only such simple, unguarded exchanges could bring. The talk drifted naturally, and I mentioned almost casually that Marcus, my closest friend, had messaged me earlier that day. He might stop by this weekend, I said, lifting my glass of iced tea, the ice cubes clinking softly. Sophie's eyes sparkled instantly, her excitement bursting forth like a sudden firework. "Uncle Marcus," she exclaimed, her fork wobbling in her hand. "I love when he visits. He's so funny. And he always brings those oatmeal raisin cookies I like." Clara's face softened, a warm, nostalgic smile curling her lips. "He's always had a way with kids," she said gently, her voice tinged with affection. I nodded, picturing Marcus's broad grin, the way he would scoop Sophie up, twirling her around until her giggles filled the room. Then Sophie, with the innocence and brutal honesty only a child possesses, asked a question that stopped me cold. "Dad, your friend is really awesome and super rich, right? How come he's not married?" Her words hung in the air, innocent yet piercing. I chuckled softly, thinking it was just one of those random, unfiltered thoughts kids have. "Maybe he's just waiting for someone special," I replied, hoping to move past it quickly. Before I could change the subject, Clara's voice cut in. Too quick, too pointed. "You know, I've wondered that myself," she said, a mischievous smirk tugging at her mouth. "Why hasn't Marcus ever tied the knot?" I looked at her expecting laughter, a playful brush-off, but there was none. Instead, she leaned forward, her eyes gleaming with something unfamiliar, something that sent a chill crawling down my spine. "I mean, if I hadn't ended up with you," she continued lightly, but with a sharp edge, "I could absolutely see myself with a guy like Marcus. He's the kind of man women dream of, accomplished, charming, easy on the eyes." The words hit me like a slam, sudden and harsh, shutting a door I hadn't even realized was open. My hand froze mid-motion, the fork slipping quietly from my fingers and clinking against my plate. The room seemed to shrink, the air thickening, charged with a tension I couldn't yet name. "What did you just say?" I asked quietly but firmly, my eyes locked on hers. Clara blinked, her casual air faltering as if caught off guard by my seriousness. "Oh, come on. It's not a big deal," she shrugged, waving her hand dismissively. "I'm just saying Marcus is the kind of guy most women would fight over. He's got it all. That's it." But her words didn't soothe, they sharpened the sting. I set my glass down, the clatter startling in the sudden silence. "That's it," I repeated, voice steady but laced with disbelief. "You just sat here, at our family dinner in front of Sophie, and said you'd have jumped at the chance to be with my best friend if I weren't around." Clara rolled her eyes, squaring her shoulders as she leaned back. "You're making this into something it's not. It was a joke. Don't blow it out of proportion." Yet the edge in her tone betrayed her words. It wasn't just. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I rose slowly, my hands trembling with a fierce mix of anger and betrayal that coursed through me like fire. "No," I said, my voice sharp and final, cutting through the thick silence. "What you just said, it's more than enough." Clara stood abruptly as well, her eyes flashing with a volatile blend of defiance and disbelief. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her voice rising, filling every corner of the room with tension. I held her gaze, my heart pounding in my chest, and spoke words I never imagined I would say aloud. "Pack your things. You're not staying here tonight." Her mouth dropped open, stunned silence hanging between us, as if she expected me to take it back. "You're kicking me out?" she said, scorn dripping from each syllable. I shook my head slowly, eyes locked on hers, unwavering. "No, it's not just about some comment. It's the truth spilling out of you. The truth that I'm supposed to live with every night, lying beside someone who's wishing she was with my best friend." For a fleeting second, Clara's expression softened. A shadow of regret flickered across her features, but just as quickly it vanished. "You're serious?" she whispered, disbelief coloring her tone, almost fragile now. "You're actually doing this?" I nodded, the weight of the moment settling deep in my throat, aching in my chest. "I'll file for divorce tomorrow morning. You're free to go after your dream man. Let's see if he's really everything you've imagined." Sophie, silent until then, fork frozen midair, looked up at me with wide, confused eyes. Her small voice trembled as she spoke. "Dad?" My heart shattered at the sound, but I forced calm into my voice. "Go to your room, sweetheart," I said softly, steady despite the storm raging inside me. Clara didn't move at first. Her arms remained crossed, eyes searching mine, looking for any crack in my resolve, but I gave her none. Finally, with the storm in her step, she turned and walked upstairs, each footfall heavy, deliberate, echoing through the house like a countdown to the end. I stood motionless, the weight of reality crashing over me in waves. Upstairs she packed, a cold, precise ritual, every movement sharp, almost theatrical, as if daring me to stop her. But I didn't. I couldn't. Her words echoed endlessly in my mind, each repetition slicing deeper, raw and fresh. She glanced back repeatedly, pausing as if expecting me to plead, to say I didn't mean it, to beg her to stay. But I meant every word. The next morning, my hands shook as I signed the divorce papers, the finality pressing down on me like a stone. A few days later, Marcus called. His voice was heavy, laced with confusion. He swore he'd never intended for any of this, that he was oblivious to the fracture it caused. I told him I didn't care. This wasn't about picking sides. I just couldn't have him in my life anymore. The trust we once shared was shattered, broken beyond repair in that single devastating moment. A month later, Clara returned, standing hesitantly on the doorstep. Her voice was soft, almost fragile. She said she missed what we had, the life we built together. She admitted Marcus was nothing like the man she'd imagined, a fleeting fantasy she had chased.